Hey, everybody, it's me, Dave Schrader from the Paranormal 60, Ghosts of Devil's Perch, and the Holzer Files. And for some reason, you're tuned in to the Paranomaly Zone.
A ghostly apparition in the dark of night.
I don't know who I'm talking to. I'm looking at a man. In the bottom left corner of his screen, his name is simply Mike. What the hell is up with that? I'm used to talking with Casper or Spud or any number of different unique names. Now it's just back to Mike. Is this the same person? Is this my co-host with the Ghosts?
It is. I think I put just me in there one time as well.
Yes, you did. Just me.
It's just me.
So what does this tell me and our listeners when you type in simply Mike? Does that mean that you're on top of your game? You're feeling at ease? This is the true Mike. What can we expect?
Well, this basically, now this just came to my mind, and I think it's actually pretty accurate that it's due to me getting further into my med changes that I've had to go through. So yeah, yeah, it's a little difficult for a little while there. I was a Spud for a little bit.
You were a Spud, yeah. I kind of like that name. Every time I hear Spud, though, or think of it, I think of the character from Train Spotting because his nickname was Spud. You don't look like that guy. I'll just I'll put it that way.
It doesn't bring to mind like anything like Spud Webb or anything like that.
Nope. You look closer to Spud Webb than you do the Spud from Train Spotting. So,
Mr. Spudhead.
Yeah.
That I had as a child, but
that's one person. That's one person I might actually be taller than is Spud Webb. You don't think so?
Yeah. Well, I don't know. You may come up to his belly button. I don't know.
Well, yeah, I know. Well,
no, just kidding.
If anything, I can sure dunk a basketball a hell of a lot better than Spud Webb.
Really?
No, I'm kidding.
I know.
Oh my goodness gracious. Well, Spud / Casper / Mike, it's good to see you. We are back. This is our return to the flagship Paranomaly Zone. Yes, your weekly dose of all things, hell, you guessed it, paranormal, strange, and mysterious. We're going to cut right to the chase. My name is Patrick Koffenberg, and I am joined, as always, by my co-host with the Ghosts, the paranormal poster boy himself, the man who has never met a ghost he didn't like, Mr. Mike Carbno. Is that a true statement? Is that a true statement, or?
Yeah, I guess you could say, yeah.
I don't remember ever hearing you in the multitude of years you and I have been close friends and diving into the world of the paranormal. I don't think I recall you ever saying you felt afraid. Mm-hmm. Is that true? Do you think that's a true statement when it comes to ghosts and the paranormal and all of that?
Well, there's one instance that I remember. Well, there's actually two, but the earliest one, and this was actually, it predated the sighting that I had of the little girl ghost in the house there.
Right.
I was very young. I was, as a family, we were visiting family up in Canada in the Toronto area, I believe it was. And the house is very haunted. And I remember as just being a little kid sitting there in the living room and my uncle talking about the ghost and, the stories of, what people have seen or heard, and said it. And usually you hear a loud crash down in the basement, like a lot of things breaking and things being thrown around. And he said it's usually not until after 9 o'clock. So I'm sitting there. I think I was sitting on the floor. I mean, this little kid. And all of a sudden, we hear this huge crash down in the basement. I mean, it was bad. And
really? Oofta.
Right away, instantaneously, I look up at the clock.
Of course. Well, why wouldn't you?
And I remember this so well. It was 9:15.
Oh, man.
I was up and I ran out the front door. Halfway down the block to a neighbor, and I hid behind their car.
Oh, my good. Behind their car.
So now
the ghost won't get you behind the car.
Yeah, well, I was just a little kid, but that goes to show you, though.
Oh, I know.
That
man,
there was a time in my life, but it was only once that I had that fear.
Okay, that is really interesting. That does sound familiar now that you mentioned that, because I'm sure you've spoken of this before.
I have.
My brain is an empty vessel at times, so things that you tell me years ago, chances are I've forgotten them.
Well,
but that makes for a good podcast fodder, because I have to keep asking you over and over and over again.
Yeah. Well, we better do that quick before they leave my mind for the rest of my life.
Well, Mike, that's why we record this show.
Yes.
Little known fact. Not only is this podcast done because we are passionate about the paranormal, it's also an easy way to keep our diaries basically throughout the years. So we can remember what the hell we've actually experienced throughout our lifetime, because Lord knows half the crap that I've experienced, gone. I can be reminded of them, and I'm like, oh yeah, that's right.
But also, what do you, this could be all of this for prosperity. I mean, is this part of our legacy that we're going to be leaving behind long after we're gone? These are going to be archived somewhere.
That's the thing. I've thought about that. I've thought about that. Really? It's like, if we, are lucky enough to live for, 50 more years, Mike.
Oof, not me.
You never know.
Make it.
You never know that. You never know that. It's like, what will? And we're still podcasting. Like, we're podcasting from the nursing home, You know
how many bathroom breaks we're going to have to take for that?
Oh, man. Well, that's why we will have
a colostomy and...
Yeah. Well, we'll have microphones set up in the bathroom. I mean, so wherever we're at,
little wireless mics to pin to our collar.
So I mean, I've often thought about that. It's like, what
hitting with our metal alert button. But anyway,
if we're planning and like our death is shocking, if I die shockingly and unexpectedly at the age of 109, and people are stunned that I've passed on because we're still just firing away on all cylinders on the podcast. It's like, what the hell will happen to the podcast then?
Yeah.
Hopefully YouTube will have, I don't know, I guess not kicked us off by that point. And I'm sure it will still exist in some form or another. So maybe we are, Mike, in a sense, we are planning our eternity via this podcast. Someday down the road, when we are long gone, people will still listen to this crap.
It could be like 200 years from now, somebody's going to hear for the very first time in their life, buttons.
Oh, why'd you have to do that? Damn it. I needed to be on the ball for that one. You got to give me a little bit of a heads up.
Anyway.
Anywho, so this is good to see you, Mike. It is, what is it today? It's Saturday, January 25th, 2025. We hope everyone's New Year is treating them well. Hope everyone is healthy, happy, and safe. We got a good one lined up for you tonight. We had a topic planned for the entire week up until earlier this afternoon, and it's my fault. And I take full responsibility. So this is another one of those episodes where it's fairly off the cuff. Sometimes they seem to turn out. Sometimes maybe not so much.
And right now I can feel the airwaves just rambling with, dang.
I know.
Not
We're here.
again. Not off the cuff again. God, it's vibrating in space.
Yeah, it's like, I don't know. Sometimes that research vibe reminds me too much of my, my college days or something. That's like, God, it seems too much like work, So let's just do this with the abundance of paranormal knowledge we have stored in our own data banks in the back of our head, and we shall see how this goes. Gettysburg's Ghosts. Mike, we talked about this subject many years ago.
Yeah, like
back in the day.
Covered 1 billion times.
No, it has been, but it's worth it. It is worth all of the times it has been covered. Whether it has been covered poorly by like you and I, or profoundly and impactfully,
or mediocrely by somebody that's
sure
a little bit better than we are.
But not quite the worst. Yes, I get it. Right. I know what mediocre means. So thank you.
Mediocrity.
That's not a word, but thanks. Now I lost track already. Thank you. So we're off to a roaring start. Oh yeah, Gettysburg's Ghosts. I took a peek down at my professional trusty dusty notes here, Mike. See them right there?
Oh, recipe
got a
cards.
lot of them. Yeah, I got recipe cards that are now serving as podcast notes. So they're quaint, they're convenient, and there they are.
I think I see a little bit of flour on that one.
A little bit of flour, yeah, to dust it off.
Clean
This
it
was
off
like
a little bit better.
this is my great grandma's homemade recipe for her, her Rice Krispie bars or something. I don't know.
It's got it has a slight strawberry rhubarb stain on it from.
Yeah, definitely not a. I am not a fan of the rhubarb. Ooh. So
you put rhubarb on a cob of corn and I'll eat it.
Would that be a cob barb? I mean, I don't know, rhubarb, cob barb.
Mm-hmm. No.
Come on, work with me. Yes, at least computer Mike works with me. So Gettysburg's Ghosts, Mike.
Corn rhubarb.
Okay, I'm trying to move on.
Okay, go ahead.
And you are not letting me.
Gets mad at me when I don't, and then he gets mad when I do. Anyway, go ahead.
I don't get mad, man. All right, I'm going to say it for a third time. Gettysburg's Ghosts. There you go. Or the Ghosts of Gettysburg, or Haunted Gettysburg, whatever the hell you want to call it. I don't even know what it all fits. We shall see what the episode title will eventually become. We got some pretty potent, powerful stuff. Sorry for popping my peas right there, but man, before we dive into that, just think about the immense bloodshed and traumatic deaths, the emotional energy that is, it has to be absorbed in Gettysburg itself, in the battlefields. You and I believe in such phenomena, where the emotional artifacts, so to speak, the spiritual artifacts they're there. They become part of their surroundings.
Which I wonder, a lot of these might be, residual hauntings, like the sounds and the the marching and the things that you see because of that extreme energy.
Right.
It's going to be there.
100%, man. Yeah, we got some good discussion lined up. I also have moments of the macabre, if time allows us. Macabre to dive into, and it definitely is some tough stuff to swallow to listen to. So we shall see where we get to. Yeah, well.
Yeah, I never get to hear these beforehand, so it's like a nice kind of a shock factor for me sometimes.
Yeah.
What the hell did you find this time?
I know, but it's it's pertinent. It's related to the Civil War.
Awesome.
So we shall see how time allows us to go. But I have something to throw out to you, Mike, for our opening Ghost Gab segment. Are you interested?
Yes, I would love to hear it.
Keep a long story short, too late. I had another weird experience this afternoon.
Okay, I love these.
So I'm going. I will splain to you.
You got some splaining.
Yes, thank you for getting that reference.
Yeah.
And then I want to see and hear your reaction, your feedback, and then we shall discuss then we'll dive into the Gettysburg meat, so to speak.
Boy, I better get myself all situated in my seat for that one.
Well, no, it's brief. It's brief, but again, it's odd.
Okay.
And it's something that I've experienced before, and that's what made me wonder about it again today.
Okay.
Okay, here we go. So, my two of my kids getting ready to leave. They're going to head to town. They're going to hop out in their car and they're going to drive away yonder into the old metropolis known as Park Rapids. And they get out, they get ready, and they saunter their way out to their cars. And I'm sitting here, I'm standing in the kitchen. I said my goodbyes, and I'm just looking into the living room and so on and so forth.
These are the girls, I take it?
Yes, these are the girls.
Yes.
And they take off. Well, they don't leave yet. They go out to the car of choice. And I'm just kind of glancing down at the doggy, and then I hear one of them come back. And out of the corner of my eye, I see Macy walk past the window. And I'm like, okay, well, they must have changed their mind because they wanted their coat. Because I was thinking they left without wearing their damn coats. And it's Minnesota in the flipping winter.
Kids.
Yeah. So I was like, okay. And I waited. And I was like, is she standing on the outside of the deck for some reason? So why has she not come in yet? So I walked to the front door and I opened up the door. Nope. No one's on the deck. They're still sitting in the car. And I look out at them. They notice me looking, bemused and befuddled. So Macy rolls down her window and she's like, what? And I said, did one of you just walk up here? And they both looked at me quizzically. And they're like, no. And then Jaden immediately goes, oh my God, don't even say that. She's saying that to me. And so Macy slowly rolls up her window and quizzical look on her face, and they drive away. And I'm standing there on the deck and I shut the door and I'm like, well, what the frick just happened? Because I swear to God, Macy just came back from the car to come. I thought I saw her. I heard her. I was waiting for her to open up the door. It was one of those weird experiences, Mike, and because I've told you before, I've had very similar experiences.
Exactly. I was thinking the whole time you're telling the story that this has happened before.
Yes.
I remember this very distinctly.
And it's not always been like a family member. I mean, it's happened multiple times where one time when I thought for sure that Bridget was coming home, and so much so that I heard her on the deck and the dogs reacted. The dogs were getting all excited. They ran to the door. And then no one was there. And another time when I was in the kitchen, I could have swore I saw someone walking past that damn window again. I'm like, oh, who's here? Waiting for someone to knock or come in. Nothing happened. I mean, it's odd. I mean, I don't know.
It's more than odd. I mean, what's odd to me, Patrick.
Oh God. Okay. Here we go.
Is why can you not take these as I have seen something that I cannot explain, which you have just said. You can't explain it. There was nobody there. Nobody could have been there. But you saw it out of the corner of your eye. You saw something like a shape moving.
Yeah. I thought it was my daughter. It was the same height, again, I could have swore I heard her walk back up on the deck. I could have heard the footsteps, and I was just waiting for her to come in the house.
Mm-hmm.
But they weren't up there. They didn't go up on the deck.
When this has happened before, and have you seen as clearly out of the corner of your eye a figure as well?
Yes. Yes. What I assume to be, and that's what's so maddening because it's always out of the corner of my eye. It's always I swear to God. There's something
so common. That's so common. That happens that way, though.
Yeah.
It's enough to get you, starting to look over there, and it starts your brain moving into that direction. Like, well, with you, which is great, is you move into that direction of trying to, debunk it, as they say. I hate that word, but as you know, I know, but it still works. It's the right word to use. Throw out anything that it possibly could be an explanation, and you have gone through all that. You even asked the girls, freaked one of them out.
Yes, I know. I mean, I went out there. I went out there, and I said, I I'm repeating myself, but I'm like, did you just come up here on the deck? So
Yeah.
I don't know.
So
I
just by you asking that question, it was Jaden that said that about, I would imagine.
yeah, Jaden was like, oh my God, don't even say that.
Yeah, that's right. But I don't know, what was I going to say? Dang it, I was going in such a good direction.
No, it's
But
fine.
anyway,
It's
you just
befuddling.
asking the question, made her automatically think, oh man, there's some kind of a ghost.
There's
thing
something
going on.
exactly right. That's the first thing went to her mind.
Right. Your mind is questioning that, but it's like you still don't. You've got that last latch to open up on that steel frickin' door that you have in your head.
This is what that door sounds like when I open it.
No, that's what's leaking out of the slightly open part.
Well, that's actually what my brain was thinking at that.
Oh, sure.
Yeah, it was just I don't know, Mike. I mean, I don't want to linger on it for too long and stuff.
Well,
I don't want to
agree,
bore our listeners, but to wrap it up. This is the minimum of a third time this has happened to me at this house over the course of years.
Mm-hmm.
Where that I could have 195% believed that someone was walking up to the door on the deck and no one was there.
I think you were more than 195% or 95%.
So, but what is going on then? So what is going on then, Mike? For argument's sake, if it's something paranormal, what are you getting any sort of vibe? I mean, what is it? Is it some sort of residual thing that's happening outside?
I think if you think of it right off the bat, I think you think of residual. I mean, it's been the same thing and it's been in the same place.
Yeah, exactly.
Same window.
Yes.
So very much a residual type thing. I mean, if it happens again, don't even think about did somebody just come up to the door? Think of it right away that you have to check it out. And
yes.
And if or if you as soon as you see it out of the corner of your eye, if you can have the thought to do this at the time, try to interact and see if there's any kind of a reaction, no matter how small it is.
Sure.
If it's an intelligent or if it's
something that is confusing to me too. And we're going to dive into an awesome topic. I'm sorry, everybody.
Yes.
But something that's confusing about this as well is that this is a deck that we put on.
Mm-hmm.
This was put up, oh man, 7 years ago now, almost six years around. So if it is a residual thing, why would I feel like it's putting weight on the deck? And why do I think I'm hearing something on the deck? Because the deck hasn't always been there.
Right. So whatever it is interacting with the physical part of like your deck.
Yes, because again, the deck
that's
has
not a residual then, because there's no way that a residual could have that energy to do that.
See, it's confusing.
You know what you need to do? I need to spend more time with you over there, and I need to bring the Ouija board.
Oh boy.
No,
oh boy, what are you going to conjure up?
What
are you going to conjure up? Yeah, I don't know if I'm going to allow that. I really don't.
No.
But anyways, that was intriguing, so I wanted to share that.
Okay, but you always tell me, do some investigating in your house. When you see something, when you hear something, put it, a recorder out.
Yes.
You need to start doing some extensive research in your house.
Yeah, I think that's a good idea. I mean, it would have to be when I'm here by myself, which is
right.
Not very often at all.
Right.
Yeah,
sure.
But it's not impossible, obviously.
Yeah, that's got to be a thought. Because there's something there. And because, even when Buddy passed away, now not to keep getting into the whole, not letting us go on and move along.
No, I get it. Hey, but it's worth it. It's worth it.
But, you even saw Buddy or felt him or heard him.
Totally felt his presence. Yes.
Maybe there's some kind of maybe there's some kind of a portal there.
Gosh.
It's something to consider. I don't know. Could be another
something
episode.
To consider.
Who knows? But anyway.
Yes. And I will say that the main experience I had with Buddy after he died was when I was still at the house, the Osage house.
That's correct. Never mind.
But no, because I did not long after I moved back out here, I did have an experience where I could have swore I saw again sounds so cliched, out of the corner of my eye, something on the ground, animal like exactly the size of Buddy, moving, like walking towards the door and stuff. And
you don't have raccoons, do you?
I do not have, not that we know of.
Yeah.
Not that we know of. All right, Mike. Okay, moving forward, finally.
Yes. Sorry.
Thank you to everybody who has stuck with us here. But hey, that's what we're all about here at the Paranormal Zone. Gettysburg's Ghosts. Again, perhaps an overly done paranormal topic, but we don't think so. It's more than worth it. I think so.
Yeah. Well, and if you put our uneducated spin on it, it makes it quite entertaining.
Hey.
We are laughable at times, but go ahead.
So we do have several examples. We know that we're going to cover a lot of familiar ground here. But again, just try and put yourself in that mindset as to why this place would be haunted in the first place. We mentioned it already, the trauma, the unbelievable amount of death, the casualties, the suffering, Mike, the suffering, the pain. It had to have left an indelible imprint.
The fear, the extreme terror. Yeah.
I mean, war is hell, but man, the Civil War, among the worst, if not the worst. Just the gallantry of the battles, like how they did this half the time too, when they're within striking distance and they're just staring at each other, waiting to set up. Right. The front row is packing their rifles, while everyone's just standing there. They're looking at each other while they're both sides are packing their rifles.
Then, like, you got a smoke you can spare.
Right. Yeah. The front row takes a knee and they all fire away, and the ones behind them fire away, and and then it's off to the races. No pun intended at all. But
horrifying.
Absolutely horrifying. We have familiar locales in Gettysburg itself. The town of Gettysburg itself is also reportedly haunted. Obviously, nothing new there at all.
Well, the entire
possibly
town is a battlefield.
Yes, exactly. And you again think about the amount of wounded, potentially mortally wounded soldiers who were passing through Gettysburg, the town. Backtracking, in fear of their lives or trying to find shelter at any number of reasons. Devil's Den, Mike, very well known haunted area. The haunted Cemetery Hill, where a lot of the Union soldiers were buried. Well, not just Union soldiers, all soldiers buried. Stories of the Phantom Regiment, the Lady in White. I mean, there's so many examples. I learned of one today, Mike, that I was not familiar with.
Okay,
and I feel ashamed. And it's very brief, but it's the story of a 20-year-old gal who is the only civilian casualty over that 3-day battle.
You've seriously never heard that before?
No, if I have, I've forgotten it.
She was baking bread in her sister's oven, for crying out loud.
She was. I know.
She's the only civilian. Yes,
Jenny Wade.
Yes, the Wade house. That's the bullet hole. There's still a bullet hole in the door where the bullet came through and killed her. And I believe, did they bring her down into the basement and laid her out? And I think that's where she had actually died. But yeah, okay. Well, hey, you're more of a history person than I am even. and I love that history, but boy, I'm surprised you did not know that, Patrick.
Yeah, and again, if I did know it, I totally forgot it.
Yeah,
so
it's possible.
Oh, it's very, very possible.
That's what happens to the average students in high school, I guess. Crickets. No, I'm saying that because I was a D average student, and I just didn't want to do it. But go ahead. The Jenny Wade house.
No.
I got nothing. Nope. We're moving on.
Sorry, folks.
Don't worry, nobody's listening anyway.
Right. I love that.
Oh, no, I'm kidding. I mean, you understand that haunting too. I mean, my gosh. I mean, if that is a legit haunting, in the alleged safety of your own quarters, your shelter, and you get blasted, you get murdered by a stray flipping bullet.
Yeah.
Oh man. And she was only 20.
Yeah, very young. But the enemies, there were houses, I'm sure, throughout the town that had like snipers set up in the upper windows of the
Yes.
attic and things like that. And
Yes.
so whoever you are, whatever side you're going through there, civilian stuff, they had to keep an eye on everything. There's just anything was possible from anywhere. So
I mean, before moving on to further examples, I believe as far as the Jenny Wade house goes, there's a lot of reports of voices, like unanswered, like phantom voices, wailful moans.
The banshee.
What
Sorry.
I don't know if wailful, like I was saying, like wailing. I don't know if wailful is a word, but I apologize if it isn't. But just the painful wailing, the phantom moans. Oh my gosh, it's tragic story. I mean, the whole Gettysburg itself is tragic.
Yes.
And damn it, Mike, we need to visit.
Oh, it's just number 1 or 2 on my bucket list. Something like that. It's just amazing.
Are you familiar with Iverson's Pits, Mike?
Not right off the top of my head, no. No, I could make a joke there, but I'm not going to.
Yeah, I know. We're not talking about our pits or anything like that. So, well, it's the area around the modern Doubleday Inn, and it's allegedly a hotspot for paranormal activity. Since it was located directly adjacent to a former site of the Forney farmhouse, which is notoriously the location of a mass grave site known as Iverson's Pit. An entire brigade of North Carolina soldiers were needlessly slaughtered and buried en masse where they fell.
Yeah.
Iverson's Pits. Remains were eventually exhumed, relocated. The former location of this mass grave has given rise to numerous reports of floating orbs, hovering lights, strange mists, and shadowy figures.
Yeah.
Again, the orbs and lights. That part always is intriguing to me. What would be the difference between a hovering light and an orb? I mean, that's something I would have to see to be able to understand that difference.
Well,
if there is a difference.
The story that I've told way too many times about sitting in my easy chair at the very haunted house in Park Rapids when I lived around where you do. But anyway, when it's sitting in my easy chair watching TV, and that I saw first out of the corner of my eye coming from the left, and then I looked down and I saw this ball of light. I don't know, maybe racquetball size, maybe. And it just came up the side of the chair and started up here on my shoulder area and swooped down my arm and went up in the air in front of me. And I would say I would call that either one, an orb or a
hovering light. Yeah.
But that's something I'll never forget. It was an amazing.
That to me that gives me a vibe of that doesn't give me a residual vibe of what you experienced.
No, there is some intelligence on how it moved, and I mean, it's like it deliberately, just went along my arm before it took off, like it was a freaking runway or something. It's just
right.
But it was great. I loved it.
Mike's got little tiny minuscule phantom semaphore users down on his arms. They're sitting there, guiding the planes. Woo, this way, that way.
They look like little Caspers.
Little Caspers on his arm.
Yeah.
Sox Bridge as another allegedly haunted locale located on Waterworks Road,
Mm-hmm.
and is reputed to be one of the most haunted spots in all of Gettysburg. It is claimed that the wandering spirits of 3 hanged Confederate deserters are believed to haunt this vicinity. It's a picturesque bridge, and they're allegedly seen various times throughout the day, both day and night, which is intriguing. That's intriguing.
Mm-hmm.
Some other paranormal experiences on the bridge include a spectral smell of phantom cigar smoke.
Ooh.
The sound of, I love this, the sound of ghostly cannons being fired in the distance, or the sensation of suddenly feeling a tap on your shoulder only to turn around and find no one there.
Wow.
I love the ghostly cannon fire.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's something that we've all, as fans of Ghost Adventures,
Yes.
we all recall that one episode where it, clear as day, it's picked up on some of their recorders.
Yeah. And gunfire as well, wasn't it?
And gunfire, yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, Mike, I can't wrap my mind around that. It's just like, what the physics of it. I mean, if there is such, if you can relate physics to the world of the paranormal, I don't think you can.
Beyond physics, yeah.
Yes. What was necessary for that cannon fire to be imprinted there? You know,
Yeah.
Was it just the solemnity of it? You know, like the solemn fear that these soldiers had. I mean, they know that when they're firing these weapons here, that they're causing disastrous consequences. You know,
Right. You know, there's that, and then there is the consequences that are all there, and that they're all intertwined in that one event.
Mm-hmm.
You know, it's a lot of energy, a lot of negative energy, a lot of the terror, like the thought of.
That's the thing that I'm thinking. I think a lot of it has to be sheer terror.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah, and then you think of all the deserters. I mean, there are so many deserters, and that was, for the most part, I think sheer terror as well. You know, they couldn't handle it. They
would rather be prisoners of war. You know, they'd rather be captured by the enemy.
But then
than
you
to
think
continue battling.
Right, but then if you think of the prisoner of war camps from that time and in those areas, they were the most foul things that. It's surprising if you actually survived just being.
Oh, sure.
Being there. I mean, you think of hundreds and hundreds of men corralled in this one area, and there's barely any walking room, and they're all going to the bathroom in one long pit thing, and it's always open. It's just horrible. So all of that energy, I mean, it's just, how can there not be some just drastic energy there that's going to stay, and it's always going to be there.
The residue.
It's always going to be. It's never going to go away. It's never going to fade.
Well, I mean, there's a reason war is hell. I mean, it's a famous quote, a famous statement, I should say, or description.
Didn't Jim Carrey say that?
Yeah, I think it was Jim Carrey. Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. The cable guy, I think he said that in there.
That's us.
Anyway.
The Children's Orphanage. Are you familiar with the Children's Orphanage?
Orphanage. Off the top of my head.
The Children's Orphanage was originally, Mike, a private home. During the famous battle, it was converted into a makeshift hospital.
Which happened in so many places.
Oh, so many places. Throughout all of the entirety of the Civil War, all battlefields just littered with these makeshift hospital tents, which again, the trauma that has to be left there.
Right.
I mean, I use that word over and over. The pain, the suffering,
the trauma,
the eventual death. The eventual death. I mean, their last moments are nothing but pure hell.
Right, and the trauma of the family that this, that is their home and it's been taken over, and all of this is going on, and what where are they going to go? What are they going to do? And the trauma of the limbs being sawed off and thrown out a window, just to keep piling up and piling up. Houses that still to this day have blood stains that are soaked into the floors from these places that were, taken over for makeshift hospitals and things like that.
Yeah.
That's history, and energy that, like I said, it's never going to go away. It's just too strong.
Well, this particular makeshift hospital, again, originally a private home, it is said that its cellar was eventually filled with the bodies and parts of bodies of the dead and the dying. After the battle, the facility was converted into the National Soldiers Orphanage Homestead, which was an orphanage to house children who had lost their parents in the battle. After Rosa J. Carmichael assumed the post of head mistress, it was rumored that Carmichael tortured and chained orphaned children in a dungeon that she secretly created in the same cellar. Now add that on top of the bodies that are there. And then these poor orphan children end up getting tortured and chained by this brutal head mistress.
Innocent children having their childhood and their lives stripped.
Oh my God, that is so awful. There's an area, Mike, that lies a few hundred yards from the base of East Cemetery Hill, is known as the Grove. This area was the site of a grisly exchange between two regiments of Ohio regulars versus the Louisiana Tigers, which was a Confederate unit primarily made up of New Orleans prison inmates. Casualties on both sides were terrible, resulting in the creation of unmarked mass graves throughout this area. In 1963, a road was laid through the Grove, accidentally unearthing the remains of these soldiers. Since then, there have been sightings of a ghost of a young girl who is believed to be a disturbed victim of post-battle mental stress who committed suicide not long after the battle. With a large record of photo evidence depicting orbs, mists, and other odd phenomena, the Grove is considered another hotspot by paranormal investigators. Now, I wonder if this was the same lady or if the lady in white was the one who committed suicide after her husband was murdered in the battle. I might be getting the two mixed up. But there is the alleged ghost of this lady in white, Mike, that is seen wandering the streets of Gettysburg and any number of other places in the entire locale. And she is supposedly the widow of a soldier who got murdered, and she just couldn't take it, and she hung herself and killed herself. Which, I mean, my God. I don't want to say, can you blame her? But damn it, can you blame her?
and how many times did that happen? And how many?
Right, exactly.
It's just, there's just like so many things that build up that energy, all of this stuff put together.
The Dobbin House, Mike, is another haunted locale in Gettysburg. It is said that the ghost of a Confederate soldier is said to stare forlornly out of the second floor window of the Dobbin House.
Forlorn.
It was forlornly. Good word. Good word. This old stone house was also once an important stopping point on the Underground Railroad. Slaves who hid here en route to freedom further north were forced to conceal themselves for lengthy periods in tiny secret hiding places located beneath the floor and in the walls of the inn building. It is believed that the ghost of the inn's owner and founder, Alexander Dobbin, still appears in various places throughout the inn, always smoking a cigar. Some believe that many of the slaves who came to this house in search of freedom and safety may have returned here from beyond the grave. Spectral manifestations of the ghosts are one of several paranormal experiences. Strange, unexplained bloodstains are also said to manifest on the floorboards.
And all these things, like we're talking about these places, these towns, these battlefields, and the place where people lived, and how everything is so affected. I can't imagine living through that. I mean,
No,
I mean,
know.
it's just
We're lucky that we didn't.
and I keep going back to that because of there. It just adds so much to the energy that's there that causes so much of this.
And before we had even given this example of the Dobbin house and the spectral bloodstains that appear on the floorboards only to disappear during the day. There's another example here, Mike. The same exact thing happens in what is the George house, Reynolds' death house. This is actually a current business occupying what many call the Reynolds' death house, servants' old-time photos. I'm reading this right now, so I apologize if I'm kind of going back and forth. The George house, yes, two Georges.
George.
This building was owned by Gettysburg local George.
Why would his mother do that to him?
I know, it's like, God
What's your
dang it,
name?
Mom. George.
My name is George. What's
I mean
last name?
your first name.
George. Anyway, okay.
And at the time of the battle, it has served as a temporary resting place for famous Union Major General John F. Reynolds. Mortally wounded on the morning of the first day of this battle, Reynolds' body was brought back to this building, where legend has it his blood seeped onto the floorboards. Now, same said blood, Mike, again are said to have spiritually reappeared since then, on occasion, only to disappear.
Oh, probably around Easter time.
What?
That was a bad joke.
Why?
Why would I even say that?
Anyway. Now what? What is your vibe, Mike? I don't want to sound lame and cheesy at all when I say what is your vibe, but with spectral bloodstains appearing and disappearing.
Right. There's things that I've read about, like handprints. Spectral handprints.
For sure. Oh yeah, absolutely. We've experienced those, for God's sakes.
Oh sure.
I'm sorry. Go ahead. I didn't mean to blast your eardrums out.
I'm done. Go ahead. Hate that when
enough of that.
Nope.
Jeez.
Sorry, continue.
It's imprints. It's imprints that and what is that? Is that a residual that comes back at certain times, like like if you're seeing Abe Lincoln putting his boots on in the Lincoln Room in the White House?
Yeah.
Residual handprints or whatever, they show up at a certain time and that's it.
Now, did you know, Mike, a little history for you, that even years before the Battle of Gettysburg itself, there was another battle, one that was even bigger, which occurred less than a mile from the site. It occurred at a place known as Big Round Top.
Right. I've heard of that. I don't know the whole story about it, but I have heard of it.
The battle involved two Native American tribes. They had territories that were delineating. Hey, I like that word, delineating.
They must ascertain as well.
Well, let me back up. I'll read this quote. Maps show that two Native American tribes had territories delineating through Adams County, suggesting it could have been a turf war between them.
West Side Story comes to mind.
Now, actually, a story was written back in 1887 by one Emmanuel Bushman, and he wrote of many unnatural. This is in 1887. He wrote of many unnatural and supernatural sights and sounds that were experienced in the area of Round Tops that had come to be known as the Indian Fields. It goes on to suggest the stone tape theory, which we've talked about before, which again suggests that energy released at the moment of death somehow becomes trapped.
Imprinted,
and in this case,
imprinted.
And in this case, it becomes entrapped because of the area's abundant granite and quartz.
Right.
God, add on top of that, there's already a massively bloody battle less than a mile away.
Right, and all that energy mixes together. It's all like,
yeah.
Now, does the native battle, does that go way further back in history, or did it say? I can't.
Just says years before.
Okay, yeah.
So I would have to look into that. I'm not sure of an exact date.
It doesn't matter.
That's a lot of stuff that we talk about. Doesn't matter.
Right. Yeah, right.
Don't worry, nobody's listening anyway.
Yes, Bob Uecker, R.I.P. Bob Uecker, by the way. Did you know that, Mike, that Bob Uecker passed away?
When?
Oh, about 2 weeks ago.
Really? Oh, I thought
Yeah.
I thought he died away. Died away. Passed
Oh,
away
really?
like 2 years ago. I don't know.
No, he was still kicking. He was still calling Milwaukee Brewers games just even last season.
Really? Oh,
Yeah.
man. Do you think his baseball card that I have will go up in value now?
No.
Probably not.
And thank you for selfishly thinking of you in the moment of someone's death.
I know. I didn't. It was for the show.
We mentioned Devil's Den earlier, Mike.
Yes.
One of the first ghost stories that author Nesbitt, I missed his first name, found specifically tied to the battle happened on the night of July 1st and into the early hours of July 2nd. He goes on to say that during the night as the Union Army's 5th Corps marched into Gettysburg, they spotted a mysterious horseman in the darkness ahead. These are Union soldiers who claim to have spotted a mysterious horseman in the darkness ahead. The figure would appear and then disappear. But it was obvious from their accounts. Again, these are Union soldiers. They described that this horseman was wearing a uniform from the Revolutionary War.
Wow. So even the Civil War soldiers are having paranormal experiences. Wow. It's just a hotbed. It's been a place of, extreme energy. Who knows that maybe there's limestone or so far down there's like a underground river, that's not even detected or known.
A river of slime!
Yeah.
Sorry. Some of these soldiers, Mike, believe this or not, I don't know about this one. Some of the soldiers believed it was the ghost of George Washington.
Hey, why not? I mean, just think of his role and just think of it. The role that he had and the emotion there.
His wooden
extreme.
teeth. Yes.
Yeah. Well, actually, I think they were ivory with very large, extruding-looking springs that had to have cut his mouth to pieces.
Oh man, I know that couldn't have been a comfy night's sleep for Mr. George.
Well, I probably took him out at night and put him in a glass of river water or something. I don't know.
I don't know, man. Now again,
Martha,
Devil's
get the rain barrel open. I need water for my ivory dentures. Anyway, I'm listening to you. Go ahead.
No, I know, I gotcha. But one particular hot spot on this battlefield, Mike, is the aforementioned Devil's Den, which is a rocky outcrop known for an intense fight/battle. Confederate sharpshooters used this rocky outcrop for cover, which resulted in several casualties. Visitors to this locale frequently report strange occurrences such as cameras malfunctioning. You and I have gone through that how many damn times?
Oh, yeah.
Mysterious figures who appear in photographs. And some claim to actually hear distant gunfire and screams that echo through the rocks. Others have actually claimed, Mike, to have seen a barefoot, disheveled man dressed in ragged clothing who reportedly says, "What you are looking for is over there," before vanishing into thin air.
Wow.
Barefoot, disheveled man.
And
I mean, what is he? In a onesie? Is that what you said?
No, I was going to say, what is it that,
I heard onesie.
that he's saying is over there? And if he,
yes,
and
what is over there?
Did he, indicate any kind of a direction or anything? That's
Right.
crazy.
Confederate soldiers often wore their own clothes. God, I can't read tonight. Clothes during the Civil War, since standard uniforms were not consistently issued. This lack of regulation led to a variety of attire on the battlefield, making this appearance of a less uniformed soldier, fairly understandable, disheveled and barefoot.
Right.
I mean, it was difficult, here's that word again, to delineate half the time between possibly civilians and soldiers because half of them are just dressed in their normal daily clothes.
Yeah.
A triangular field, Mike, is located northwest of Devil's Den, and is also another notorious site for ghostly activity. Visitors to Triangular Field, report shadowy figures crossing the field, feelings of being touched, and an unsettling presence around them. Now, what could that unsettling presence be? Who's to say? I could say my vibe, my first thought about that is just, again, the horror that is trapped in the ether, so to speak, of that locale. If you are sensitive in any way, if you're empathic in any way, and you walk into such a locale, how can you not be affected physically some way?
Absolutely. Even if you're not, a person could feel something and not understand it, but there's something there that it's like, well, this is weird. It's not
something's off.
Yeah,
something is off.
Yeah.
I mean, my dumbass felt that at the oldest building in Fargo at the Bonanzaville.
Yeah.
Hey, and that's on video for our Patreon subscribers, by the way. So if you want to see me feeling dizzy,
or
go ahead.
Go ahead.
No, it's okay. I was going to get into my worthless. Well, it's not worthless, but my necessary evil of promoting the Patreon.
Oh,
page.
And I stopped you.
No, it's okay.
I was going to say though, and you could also witness some of the effects that I had in the courthouse.
Oh my gosh! Yes,
that was really weird.
You almost like lost a moment in time there. You thought that we had been in there for far longer than we were.
Yeah, and I didn't feel right. I started getting really hot.
Yeah,
I don't know. Yeah, it was. But you in that little cabin, that was weird. It's like you're obsessed with that pole.
That's right. Yeah, the support beam in the middle of the flipping floor there.
Yeah. Boy, if I could have just taken a peek at what was going through your head.
Well, it definitely wasn't pole dancing. I'll say that. Similar,
but anyway,
similar phenomena has been reported at other locales, such as Little Round Top, where Colonel Joshua Chamberlain's 20th Maine Regiment secured a crucial Union victory. Many claim to see soldiers in uniform, also hearing musket fire, or actually encountering figures from the past who, guess what, vanish before their very eyes. Oh, man, there's a lot of crap that's going on.
Yeah.
Supposedly. Allegedly.
Oh, I believe it. There's been too many sightings of too many things, and verified sightings, I would even imagine. How many people see these how many people see one event over time? And the video, it's hard to say video is evidence at all, but some of the video that has been shown of some of these specters, like along the tree line, and
that's one of my all-time favorite.
Exactly, and around
captures.
The cannon, and amazing stuff. But
I mean, it's just it's a regiment. It's soldiers walking. They're doing their due diligence. They're marching in line, and I love it. I absolutely love that footage.
Yeah.
Oh, but backtracking real quick. If you do enjoy the Paranormal Zone and you want more of it, you stay up at nights not getting enough of Mike and myself. Well, guess what? There is a way to satiate your Paranormal Zone needs.
Come on, man.
What? Yes, you can go over to our Patreon page, sign up for as little as $1 a month, and there's no obligations. That's the best part. You could sign up and you could cancel within 15 minutes, which has happened.
That has happened. So get on over there and satiate yourself.
That was awesome. No, I remember quite well getting that notification. You have a new subscriber. Say hello to such and such. And by the time I got the notification, he was gone. It's like, whoa, geez. He wouldn't have had time to even try to listen to anything or watch anything. So I don't know what the hell happened. He had to have.
Because I remember you texting me that, we have a listener, or had a listener, or knew whatever, and then it was gone. But
Then he was gone. That's the reason I texted you, because it was so humorous.
yeah,
The shortest lived Patreon subscriber, anyways. But hey, don't be like him, folks, or her, or whoever it was. Give us a shot. We are pretty proud and pretty happy with our Paranormally Zone Patreon page content. We recently recorded episode 84, exclusive Patreon episode number 84. It was a dive into true crime. All of our true crime episodes are available over on the Patreon page, as are a load of other fun and cool stuff. And I jokingly say, if you want to watch Mike and I run around in our underwear in cemeteries at night, no, that's not available.
No.
But stuff very similar. Very similar.
Well, there's that one with the loin cloth.
There was a loincloth, yes.
Yeah.
A haunted loincloth.
And some kind of a viney rope hanging from a willow tree. His nose is going to start to bleed. I'm sorry, Patrick. He's got his head tilted back. He's squeezing his nose. Oh, okay.
Sorry. Okay, I'm back. Ooh.
I didn't think it was that funny, but
sometimes you,
no.
Sometimes you just strike that funny bone of mine, Mike.
Hit that blood vessel in your nostril.
Woo!
Anyway.
We did speak about the tragic story of Jenny Wade, and in my ignorance, which shocked Mike, I was not familiar with that. At least today, when I read about it, I want to convince myself that I knew of it and I just forgot.
Well, that's very possible. I mean, if you're not, if it's something that wasn't a really big interest to you to begin with, it could easily slip out of your mind.
The Gettysburg College, Mike, is another allegedly haunted locale that was used as a hospital and command post during the battle. One of the most famous tales involves two administrators who, while riding the elevator in Pennsylvania Hall, were transported to what seemed like a Civil War era hospital scene.
I have heard the story.
Time slip.
Wonderful. Yes.
Time slip, which, by the way, if people are curious, that was going to be another potential topic of discussion for tonight before we settled on Gettysburg. I really do want to do some time slip discussion again, though.
Absolutely.
But these two administrators, after being transported to what they described as a Civil War era hospital scene, they claimed to have witnessed wounded soldiers, frantic nurses, and blood-covered doctors. Now, when the elevator doors closed and reopened, the haunting vision disappeared. What in God's name is going on there? Is that a time slip? That my first vibe was time slip? Or did they visually see a residual haunting? I don't know. But I got the time slip vibe. I could be way off.
Yeah, I do too. But I seem to remember hearing a story so similar to this, but it went into more detail, where the people were in the elevator and they were going down, I think. But anyway, the elevator doors opened and there's this, it's just like the whole room was back in that time. It wasn't just like you're, seeing the furniture of the day and then all of a sudden there's a vision, of something going on in the middle of the room. It's like the whole room was like what it would have been back at the time that this was going on. And if I remember right, and maybe I'm just thinking because it'd be really cool, but I thought that the people or some of the people or the guy, the doctor or whatever, had looked over and acknowledged like he had seen these two guys in the elevator.
Oh, man. That would be... I mean, oh my God! Again, I'm not to sound flippant or disrespectful, but my God, that would have been amazing.
Yeah, it seems.
If that is a part of that alleged story, that would be incredible.
Yeah. Well, and if it's not real, I just told a fun yarn.
Oh, good use of the word yarn, Mike.
Yeah.
Oh, he told a wee little yarn there. Again, Mike, I mean, it bears repeating, but those are some of my favorite personal paranormal stories, and yours too, when you hear about that interaction. You know, and the ghost is the one who seems to be like, what the hell are you? And where are you from?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And you're standing there like, I'm me? Again, I've said it 1,000 times. We talked about it 1,000 times. That Ghost Hunters episode is one of my all-time favorites.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah.
I need to find that. I just want to watch that again.
Yeah. I remember that so vividly, hearing that. And I think I've only seen it once, but yeah, absolutely fantastic.
What is the fatality total of Gettysburg? What is it like over like 50,000? Was it 50, estimated 50,000?
I don't know, but it was, you know, all those battles were just immense in the fatality.
Let me look that up. I'm looking it up real quick. I don't want to throw that number out without being.
Yeah.
It took place over 3 days. It was it was like the beginning of July.
Yeah.
Right before the 4th of July. Let me see here.
I think I've read where some battles, these big battles, where in the first half an hour there's like 15,000 people dead. You know.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. I believe it.
Yeah.
I am at battlefields.org. Yes, this is, here we go. Adams County, Pennsylvania, July 1st through July 3rd, 1863. The Battle of Gettysburg marked the turning point of the Civil War with more than 50,000 estimated casualties. The 3-day engagement was the bloodiest single battle of the conflict. And it's hard to think, you know, it's funny when they refer to it as a turning point of the Civil War, because the Civil War didn't end like until 2 years after that.
Right.
But
well, if it wouldn't have
such
taken
a different
that turn,
time,
where would it have ended up? You know, who knows?
Oh, man.
It's crazy.
Before the battle, I'm curious about this site here. This is really interesting. Battlefields.org. Estimated casualties: 51,112. 23,049 were Union. 28,063 Confederates. 51,000 soldiers were either killed, wounded, captured, or missing in the 3-day battle. Yeah, overwhelming carnage. That's a perfect way of putting it.
Yeah. Well, you know, you can see the photographs of all these different battles, and
oh man,
it's unbelievable.
Is Gettysburg up there? And I'm not trying to kill time or anything. No pun intended. Because I still want to talk about this. Is the Gettysburg? That has to be at the top of your bucket list for sites to visit, paranormal sites. Is it in the top 2, top 3?
Yes, top 2, I would say. Yeah, and
oh my god,
that's a list I should figure out, like top 5. That'd be fun.
I think we've done something like that for a Patreon episode. Again, that wasn't planned right there. I really do think we did that.
Okay.
I recommend the site. It actually gives a really nice short summary of exactly what went down those 3 days. Robert E. Lee thought he had the advantage on that second day, and then he made kind of a tactical error. The Union soldiers absolutely fought back. Yeah, ended up thwarting him and his soldiers, and he ended up attempting to flee and return with his casualties of his regiment well over 60%.
See, that was that turning point.
Yeah, for sure. His ranks were severely reduced and filled with only wasted and battle-scarred men. Yeah.
Yeah, devastating on both sides.
I mean,
absolutely.
It's so divisive. It's so divisive. It's such a dark time in our nation's history, you know. Well, you know, it definitely is looked at as a very dark time for very legit reasons, obviously.
Yeah.
Mike, do we have moments? Do we have time for some of those macabre Civil War?
We have moments? To. I mean, these are too intriguing.
Do you think that we spent enough time on some of these alleged hauntings? What am I leaving out here? I feel like we haven't covered enough. Well, maybe we have.
I think we talked the hell out of it.
We talked the hell out of it. Well, again, if there are examples we missed, which I'm sure there are many. We
yeah.
highly encourage you to do your own research because there's an abundance out there. You're not going to be short of any alleged.
And
I gotta stop using alleged. I have to stop saying that. I think I need to get a little buzzer or like a little shock thing on my wrist every time I say alleged.
All right, give me the controller for it.
Mike, I want to read this one.
Okay, go ahead.
The Phantom Regiment. Did I read this one earlier? I don't. We mentioned the spectral group of soldiers on the video. I don't think we referred to or actually spoke of this Phantom Regiment. One of the most famous and enigmatic ghostly manifestations in Gettysburg has become known as the Phantom Regiment. The ghostly remnants of a Confederate unit that still haunts the battlefield today. Their ghostly drums and footsteps still echo through the night. Imagine being out there, Mike, by yourself or with me, which might be more frightening, and hearing those phantom drums.
Oh, I would love it.
Oh my gosh. Followed by footsteps.
Mm-hmm.
Both visitors and ghost hunters have reported seeing this ghostly procession of soldiers in their tattered and strangely unidentifiable uniforms, still farting, still marching in formation on the battlefield throughout odd hours of the night. Some witnesses flatulence abounds.
Anyway.
Some witnesses have heard phantom drums, as we mentioned earlier, and the distant sound of musket fire. Others claim to have seen the ghostly apparition standing among the gravestones in Gettysburg National Cemetery. So there you have it. I knew I was forgetting something. It was a Phantom Regiment. So, and I'm sure we haven't covered several of them either, but for time reasons, we should probably move on to the moments of macabre. But Mike, any final thoughts about Gettysburg's Ghosts? I mean, what a powerful and potent paranormal zone.
Yeah, and it would be such an emotional thing being there. I mean, you'd feel so much emotion, but I just imagine I could be, like the last time you and I were up on top of Standing Rock, just watching and listening. Could you imagine being out sometime in the middle of the night, just laying out there in the middle of this battlefield and just tuning in and trying to listen and just see what comes up, see what you hear off in the distance. I mean,
I would love that.
With the recorder going the whole time, of course.
Yeah, exactly. I was going to say any number of instruments that we could have out there.
Yeah, talk about a great place to do the Estes method.
Oh my god,
deprivation.
Ooh, I just had like a kind of a chills-inducing moment because I was thinking about fantasizing it, if you will, of playing back our digital recorder, and then we just hear like over our own whispers or whatever you hear in the background, and some musket fire, maybe a cannon blast,
men yelling,
and
screaming.
How long of a drive is it to get us?
Yeah. Well, even if it was the closest one to our location. Even if it wasn't Gettysburg.
I'm typing that in real quick here. My hometown to Gettysburg distance. Let's see here. What does it say? Mike, it is a mere 1,246 miles away, an 18-hour, 52-minute drive. Let's do it.
Double the drive to the Sally House.
Man, we can stop in Chicago along the way.
Oh, Chicago. Yeah.
Mike, all we need is a couple days off, and
I'd be afraid of not getting out of Chicago.
Well, we can go around it.
Unless we can stop where the St. Valentine's Day Massacre was.
Oh, cheapers. There you go.
I don't think anything's there anymore, but still.
But first, not but first. I mean, but, first. Now, the distance from Mike's town.
Yeah, you'd have to pick me up.
I was going to say, yeah, and it'd be wiser. Let's see here.
about the same.
Oh, that's even longer. Yeah, that makes sense. Of course it's longer because you're straight east, basically. Of course, duh. It's 19 hours and 37 minutes. So there you go. But hey, this time we could stop in Chicago.
Yeah.
Mike, we need to do it. We need to flip and plan this. There's so much crap we have to plan.
I know. I'm not getting any younger. Neither are you.
And neither are our listeners, so it's time to move on to some moments of the macabre. And yes, I'm warning you right now, a lot of these are really disturbing.
And these are connected to the subject matter at hand.
Yes. These are some of the darkest moments in the American, or during the American Civil War. Kind of a shift in tone here, because a lot, like I said, some of this is pretty rough. Example 1, some of these moments of the macabre, darkest moments of the Civil War. Confederates massacred African American soldiers after this Union Army surrendered at Fort Pillow. What an oxymoron of a name, Fort Pillow.
Yeah. Sounds comfy.
Sounds like comfy, and yeah, exactly. And come on in, it's warm and cozy.
Yeah.
April 1864, one Nathan Bedford Forrest, whose unabashed racism inspired him to become the first Grand Wizard of the Ku Klux Klan, Mike. Great guy, this Nathan Bedford Forrest. Blech. Sorry, I have to throw in my opinions every now and then. Unabashed racism inspired him to become the first Grand Wizard of the Ku Klux Klan. During the Civil War, he wrested Tennessee's Fort Pillow from Union hands. It was at this site that one of the darkest massacres of the war occurred. Fort Pillow was manned by 500 plus black and white Union troops. Forrest's troops, and this wonderful guy, Nathan Bedford Forrest, took the fort with relative ease, but instead of accepting the Union troops as prisoners once they surrendered, the Confederate troops simply slaughtered them after surrounding their, I guess, I don't want to say moment of pacifism, but they were surrendering, Mike. They were giving up. Right. They were basically pleading. Confederate troops furiously slaughtered them since they wanted to demonstrate how black soldiers, quote, cannot cope with Southerners. As one Confederate soldier recalled, in talking about the black Union soldiers, he said they would run up to our men, fall upon their knees, and with uplifted hands scream for mercy. But they were simply ordered to their feet and then shot down. Here's another fun tidbit of the Union casualties. 30% more black soldiers were attacked than their white counterparts.
Fun tidbit you put on that?
Yeah, I'm being totally sarcastic when I say it.
I was going to say my word. But anyway, yeah, I got you.
I'm telling you that some of this stuff is hard. It's tough. It's
very
horrible part of our history. Along the same awful vein, while on the Gettysburg campaign, General Lee's army kidnapped African American soldiers to sell them back into slavery. You can kind of guess what happened there. We're talking about either abducted free people or escaped slaves. Enslaved laborers would accompany Lee's army to assist in their capture and to sell them back to Southern quote-unquote owners. Many Union and Confederate soldiers, Mike, burned alive in flaming brush during the Battle of the Wilderness. I'm going to just read you a quote by one of the survivors. This was fought in the forest, which became known as the Battle of the Wilderness in 1864, where this battle descended into a horrific inferno. This is what a Union survivor recounted. Suddenly, to the horror of the living, fire was seen creeping over the ground, fed by dead leaves, which were thick. All who could move tried to get beyond the pike, which the fire could not cross. Some were overtaken by the flames when they had crawled but only a few feet. and some when they had almost reached the road. The ground, which had been strewn with dead and the wounded, was in a few hours' time blackened with no distinguishable figure upon it.
Wow.
Burned to death.
See, these are things that you don't think of, you don't hear. I mean,
No,
you know,
right.
you hear, the dramatized parts. I mean, there are some great documentaries out there and stuff, but I mean, these are things that you just, you could imagine the worst.
Yes.
You know.
Oh, right, exactly. You can't even imagine the worst.
Yeah. So, yeah.
Mike, did you know that officials had actually at one point quickly tried to mitigate a smallpox outbreak among Union troops, but instead they initially let the disease burn through their formerly enslaved people? Disease actually, I think, accounted for the majority of the deaths during the Civil War. Is that not correct?
Oh, I'm not sure, but I'm sure it was pretty high. So it was a kind of the chemical warfare kind of thing. Is that what you're saying? They had caused this outbreak.
It goes to say here that illness posed a bigger threat to Civil War troops than even enemy fire. Okay, yep, here we go. Diseases accounted for an estimated 2/3 of all military deaths.
Okay.
Wow.
So it's just disease in general because there is so much.
Yes.
Yeah.
But this outbreak in particular is what we are referring to.
Right.
In 1862, a smallpox outbreak began in Washington, D.C. Historian Jim Downs recounts it disproportionately hit formerly enslaved people who lived in military-style camps, which didn't provide them with ample food, shelter, or medical care. I mean, they were already more apt to becoming ill,
right?
Exactly. For several different reasons.
Mm-hmm.
When smallpox first broke out in 1862, military and federal officials in the North followed health protocols to stop the spread of virus among soldiers, but justified the outbreak among freed people as, quote, a natural outcome of emancipation. By that, they mean the outbreak reinforced theories that the newly freed black people were in fact on the verge of extinction, which provided them little incentive for federal agents to try and stop its spread.
Horrifying.
I told you this stuff isn't easy.
No, very hard.
I did read this one earlier, and thankfully this one is not race related because some of this gets tough. I mean, it's really tough to even... It's tough. This involves a Confederate bishop / officer. He was a Confederate officer, and he was a bishop. He was an archbishop. Or ordained bishop, I should say. It says, Confederates watched on as a bishop officer was struck dead by an artillery shell. This is basically just for the awful vision that you can picture in your mind.
He was more than just struck dead.
Right. This is about one Leonidas Polk. Polk wasn't just a major general in the Confederate Army. He was also an ordained Episcopalian bishop. And also a committed slave owner. So, hey, there you go. In his memoirs, one Sherman wrote and described later on the circumstances of Polk's end. This is a quote. General Joseph Johnston noticed the preparations of our battery to fire and cautioned these men to scatter. They did so, and he likewise hurried behind the parapet, from which he had an equally good view of our position. But General Polk, who was dignified and corpulent, walked back slowly, not wishing to appear too hurried or cautious in the presence of these men, and was thus struck across the breast by an unexploded artillery shell.
Sheesh.
Which, of course, killed him instantly. I mean, they didn't need to even add that part, right?
Right, yeah. He didn't even make it to DOA.
No, not even. That's exact. Oh my God, I don't mean to laugh. Oh, holy crap. Yeah, that's, there's no, as Mike would put it, diddling about on that. Or fiddling about, sorry.
Fiddling about. Keith Moon, fiddling about.
Oh, God damn it. And I know we're running short on time here. And Mike, I'm sorry. I can tell you're fidgeting.
No, I'm not.
Okay.
I'm just rearranging my back a wee bit.
The Battle of Crater. The Battle of Crater was one of the Union Army's biggest, most tragic miscalculations. Both sides were hunkered down in trenches. Now I'm just going to start reading fast, so I apologize. Both sides hunkered down in trenches during the siege of Petersburg. Impatient and eager to gain the upper hand, General Ulysses S. Grant agreed to an unorthodox proposal that Pennsylvania minor turned Colonel Henry Pleasant, oh, what a name, Henry Pleasant, put before him. This was his proposal. Dig across the field, plant explosives beneath the Confederate line, and blow them up. Once the explosives went off in the early morning hours of July 30th, 1864, a poorly led troop of Union soldiers charged, but they mistakenly charged right into this giant crater, which essentially made them easy targets for the remaining Confederates. Reinforcements of black troops were sent in, and according to Confederate Colonel John Haskell, the Confederates became utterly frenzied with rage. Though the Union pulled back, the Confederates wouldn't let the black troops escape or face imprisonment. Instead, they simply slaughtered them in the crater.
So it was like shooting fish in a barrel.
Yeah, absolutely. It's again the overused cliche, but it's totally fitting.
Right.
Oh my God.
Hmm.
Just imagine this. After a disastrous assault at Mars Heights, Union troops spent the night simply listening to their fallen comrades cry out in agony. I don't even have to read that one. There was also several Native American tragedies, several Native American massacres during this war, battles between warring Native tribes.
Well, right here in North Dakota, Whitestone Battlefield, which we do need to get back to and do a more extensive search out there.
There's, and you know what? I'm cutting moments of the macabre short, not only just because of time restraints, just because I'm starting to get bothered by some of it. I'm not kidding.
Yeah. No, I know what you mean. I know what you mean.
Because I had only got through 6, and there was like 8 or 9 more. No, there was 8 more. Yeah, because it was 14. Oh. I don't want to get to them. So you can go find that online if you're interested, boys and girls. But some of that I just start feeling too wonky about, and I don't like it. But truly moments of the macabre. I mean, awful. War is hell, and half of it you can't even imagine the depths of hell that we sink to as human beings. Really, we can't.
It's very true.
Very true. Mike, I think it's time to wrap this one up on that happy note, don't you think?
Yeah, I need to go to the bathroom and make myself another Coke Zero.
A Coke Zero. Okay, gotcha. Okay, so yes, Mike, I know, bumbling, Mike. Now, what I want to hear at Gettysburg, no doubt about it. Now, that would be creepy.
Amongst gunfire in the distance.
Yeah. Hear some musket fire, and then you're like, where did that come from? And then you hear off in the distance someone yelling,
"Pasty white ghosty."
Whoa, there's a pasty white ghosty.
And then the rebel yell.
Right? Oh, boy. Or this one. This would be good, too.
We're ghosts.
Yeah.
Sorry. Finally, I'll end it now. Mike's all-time favorite. We're looking over the field of Devil's Den, and all we hear... Okay, sorry. I had to do it. All right. Well, thank you, everybody, for tuning in. We appreciate it.
Don't ever add some really bad 70s music to that.
Oh, that'd be great.
Anyway.
Right, yeah, thank you, everybody. If you made it to the end of this episode, God bless you.
And thank you.
You are loved and appreciated. Again,
and you are anyway.
And you are anyway, no doubt about it. Thank you so much. Help spread the word. I mean, we are YouTube exclusive. It's a slow climb back to the ranks of the mediocre when it comes to podcasts. But hey, we needed to switch it up. Tell your friends, tell your family, go subscribe to our YouTube page. We would love to see you there. It's the only place you can hear brilliance such as this on
Make
a
us feel
basis.
More adequate.
Yes, we want to feel adequate. I want to feel average at best. Well, Mike, thanks for making this work. I'll let you know when the episode is up and running. Mike, until next time, what do our podcasting pals need to do?
Peace out, pals.